Built during the Cold War by the Soviet Union, the Antonov An-28 was never meant to fight drones. But today, in one of the strangest twists of the war in Ukraine, these aging transport aircraft hunting Russian Shahed drones across the sky, using everything from mounted miniguns to remotely controlled interceptor drones. This is not the first time Ukraine has deployed drones to go after drones. From early on in the war, the nation has been sharing footage of the growing fleet of UAVs that soldiers are using to trap and neutralize autonomous Russian systems. However, deploying them from an aircraft marks a new chapter for the nation. The first reports that the An-28 had begun conducting more aggressive drone hunting came just this past February. Back then, crews on board were implementing an unconventional and somewhat crude tactic, having a gunman on board shoot their targets out of the air. In videos captured from inside An-28s, shooters are seen taking aim at a Russian Shahed-type attack drone with an M134 minigun and opening fire. Before the drone can even begin its descent on its target, a shell tears through its fuselage, unleashing an explosion so violent it was probably seen for miles. While it's unclear how long it took the crew to get into the just right close-range position to strike the drone, or how effective this technique would be on a large scale, at the time, it was reported that at least some of these An-28 hunters were taking down unmanned Russian attack units by the dozens. However, now that the aircraft is equipped with a brand new weapon, those numbers could just keep growing. News of the An-28 upgrade came in late April, when new footage, shared by aerial coordinator Aero Tim on social media, revealed that at least one of these transport aircraft had been modified to launch P-1 Sun interceptor drone systems mid-flight. The unit itself was revealed late last year by the Ukrainian defense technology company Skyfall, which reported that despite its economically accessible 3D printed body, the system can still fly at nearly 260 miles per hour, roughly twice the reported maximum speed of the Russian Shaheds. As for altitude, the P-1 Sun can easily reach 16,000 feet, making it useful against low-flying helicopters as well. Recent videos from civilians capturing these interceptors, destroying Russian drones darting over their heads, have already proven their effectiveness in battle. However, the recent clip of their launch from the An-28 shows just how far they can go. The footage shows the process of target acquisition on board the aircraft, locking onto the Russian Shahed drone before the crew releases the interceptors. In the video, the P-1 Suns drop from mounting pods under the aircraft's wing. Once airborne, the drones dash toward their intended target. While it's very likely that the system uses some level of automation or advanced targeting to zero in on the enemy drone, the crews inside the An-28 ensure maximum effectiveness by manually guiding the P-1 Suns with a remote controller. From the drone's POV, crews follow the chase until the very last second, when with just one strike, the Russian drones are completely blown apart. In the video, the aircraft releases all the drones from one wing, suggesting it could have achieved at least 3 direct hits in just one mission. And while it's still uncertain just how common it will be to see these hunters defending the skies, this new drone warfare tactic has proven Ukraine has the ability to keep Russia on the defensive through extraordinary and unusual new technologies. A mysterious Cold War-era video has been making the rounds online, showing what may be one of the rarest nuclear weapons tests ever recorded, the deployment of a Soviet Su-7 fighter jet. According to information displayed within the footage itself, this was, quote, the first and probably the only such bombing in world practice. Now, as tension between Russia and the West continues to rise, the resurfacing of this footage has left many wondering if these images are more than just a forgotten Soviet experiment. Because if Russia was once ready to do the unthinkable, then some fear Putin might be preparing to finish this Cold War project once and for all. Rumors began to circulate in late April when aviation analyst Sam Wise from the open source defense and security intelligence group Janes shared a recently uploaded YouTube clip from an alleged nuclear test carried out by a Soviet Sukhoi Su-7 supersonic fighter. The video itself was uploaded by a small account with a wide collection of Soviet-era aircraft and flight tests, but it doesn't provide any information about how the footage was obtained. Still, After Wise shared the clip, experts did not dismiss it. Defense writer and editor Thomas Nudick wrote an article for The War Zone, breaking down the video of the presumed nuclear deployment and adding, quote, "The test in question was especially notable in that it involved a free-fall tactical nuclear bomb that was delivered by a crewed fighter bomber." It's reported that the test took place on August 27, 1962, an interesting moment to carry out a rare nuclear launch, considering that about 2 months later, the Cuban Missile Crisis would break out. According to the video, the test model had a yield of 11 kilotons, not necessarily a city destroyer, but still powerful enough to result in tens of thousands of casualties if it were to be dropped on a civilian location. In the footage, crews are seen getting the Su-7 ready by rolling the 244N across the runway, loading it into its underbelly, and ensuring that all systems are in good condition, before the pilot, identified as Lieutenant Colonel A.I. Sheen, climbs in. Once in the air, the pilot is given the all-clear to fire. He does so by following a strict procedure to avoid being caught in the blast zone of his own bomb, showcasing one of the few live tactical nuclear deliveries ever recorded on camera. First, the aircraft engages in a pronounced climb. Once the aircraft is at about a 45-degree angle, the payload is launched, sending it flying in an arc toward its target as the aircraft banks hard in the opposite direction, completing a half roll before readjusting position and flying away from the scene before the detonation arrives. It's reported that the bomb landed just a little over 300 feet from its intended target near the Semipalatinsk test site, where it went off as planned, releasing a plume of smoke which the Soviets appeared to have captured on camera from miles away. The footage is so extraordinary that it didn't take long for people to start questioning its authenticity. Some have suggested that parts of the footage may be staged or animated. Neither Sam Wise nor Thomas Nudick dispute that the test itself took place, but they do note that the specific moment showing the bomb release is, quote, apparently simulated, or at the least heavily edited. It's also been noted that there's a possibility that the launch in the video showcases the deployment of an AIB-500 imitation bomb, capable of replicating the look of a nuclear strike without the actual destructive power. If that's the case, then the Soviets could have either been attempting to study the feasibility of delivering nuclear strikes using the Su-7, or working on a piece of propaganda meant to show everyone in the West that the nation was not to be messed with, a tactic that today's Russia seems to be using once more. Last year, President Vladimir Putin announced that his country had allegedly begun testing the nuclear-powered rocket Burevestnik, which can reportedly remain in the air for 15 hours, travel more than 8,500 miles, and even dodge naval defense systems. However, as of now, there's no verified footage of the armed missile successfully operating as Russia claims, leaving many wondering if Russian nuclear weapons are actually ready for battle. Despite the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, attacks from both sides have kept shaking the battlefield during the last couple of weeks. And while the Iron Dome promises to keep most direct attacks from reaching critical Israeli targets, the IDF is facing a menace across the front lines, for which the only current solution appears to be covering troops with nets and hoping for the best. Almost as soon as aggressions with Lebanon picked up a couple of months ago, it was evident that the IDF would have to find a way to effectively counter Hezbollah's first-person view, or FPV drones. However, currently, it seems as if Israel is nowhere near achieving this goal. In a particularly intense strike that took place in late April in the Lebanese town of Taiba, not far from the border with Israel, a drone zeroed in on an Israeli tank and detonated before any ground troops could intercept it. The explosion reportedly took out one sergeant and injured 6 more soldiers, marking the first time an FPV drone was credited with taking the life of an Israeli serviceman. And the barrage didn't end there. As Israel deployed a helicopter to take the injured crew members back to safety, soldiers noticed an additional pair of drones coming for them. In footage of the incident, the incoming attackers are barely visible, highlighting how stealthy they can be when carrying out a strike, and how often troops on the ground get no notice before they descend on them. During the incident, soldiers were able to shoot down one of the attacking drones and take cover as the second landed feet away from them. As soon as the explosion went off, the helicopter fled the scene. A notable problem when fighting against FPV drones is that being commanded via fiber optic cables, they're harder to jam with traditional techniques, forcing defenders to rely primarily on radar systems and drone interceptors, which as of now are not available for every Israeli group crossing the border into Lebanon. According to sources, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to start investing in new weapons to help his troops, stating, quote, "A few weeks ago, I ordered the establishment of a special project to counter the drone threat. It will take time, but we are on it." While they wait, Israeli troops are having to get creative in their defense tactics against Hezbollah's drones. In a recently published video, IDF personnel are seen driving a military truck wrapped in a simple net meant to keep drones from reaching the vehicle. During the demonstration, the defense capabilities of this unconventional method appear to be at least partially demonstrated, when a drone is thrown at the vehicle and immediately becomes entangled in the net. Still, many remain doubtful about this protective tactic. In a recent interview, an IDF official stated, quote, "This solution is highly problematic. It allows the lower parts of the vehicle to remain exposed, areas that the net doesn't cover. The likely next step for the adversary would be to detonate the drone at a distance from the net, causing shrapnel to disperse toward the forces." Another solution that Israel is planning to use against drones is having these nets go up against the enemy drones themselves. To achieve this, the country has begun deploying the Iron Drone radar system, an AI-driven interceptor developed by Aerobotics that combines radar with drones capable of launching nets to capture incoming threats. In video demonstrations, the radar is seen automatically locking onto incoming targets and calculating the precise position and moment to launch its net, neutralizing the threat long before it reaches the ground. However, whether Israel can deploy these systems fast enough to keep Hezbollah's unmanned strikes at bay remains to be seen. In recent days, videos from further FPV drone attacks have surfaced, bypassing ground defenses and descending onto Israeli vehicles, bases, and tanks for what appear to be successful strikes in plain daylight, some of which would likely need more than a net to be stopped. An American giant known as HAPS, or High Altitude Platform Systems, emerged from a hangar in New Mexico, ascending more than 60,000 feet into the stratosphere, all without even needing a pair of wings. This is one of the latest airships to lift off over the U.S., and while the full range of its capabilities remains to be proven, this could mark the start of a new race to wield the ultimate airborne surveillance platform, one which China won't let America win without a fight. Psy, the company behind HAPS, spent over a decade developing and assembling the airship before it was ready to climb into the layer of the atmosphere just under space. Back in 2024, the company revealed HAPS was already able to reach altitudes of 65,000 feet and remain locked in position for up to a day. However, it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago that the aircraft conducted a 12-day mission, which took it all the way to the coast of Brazil. While the exact data that HAPS collected during this test flight has not been fully disclosed, it's been noted that the airship is equipped with high-resolution infrared cameras and an advanced system which, according to Psy CEO Mikkel Vestergaard, can allow operators to, quote, "see what nobody else can see." In demonstration videos shared by the company, HAPS is seen flying over different regions of the planet, analyzing passing vessels, identifying wildfires, and even spotting leaks of dangerous gases spreading across cities. Currently, Psy presents these abilities as ways to combat climate change and connect remote regions. However, their military potential is immediately evident, and it seems like some of America's rivals have already taken notice. A couple of years ago, analysts raised alarms when satellite imagery revealed what some have described as a military blimp sitting outside a massive 900-foot hangar on a remote complex in northwestern China. While virtually no technical aspects of the mysterious airship were revealed, if it were to possess even some of the technological capabilities of a model like HAPS, it could easily serve as a sky spy that flies too high to be easily intercepted, and which is capable of monitoring rivals from fixed positions for days, potentially even months. Just recently, a flying wind turbine known as the S-2000 was seen taking off near the central province of Sichuan. According to reports, the system was about 200 feet long and ascended to over 6,500 feet above ground, where it could harness wind energy far more effectively than most ground-based wind turbines. Systems like this can either send energy back to land via cables or generate their own power to support even longer flights. China seems to already be experimenting with this latter method. In videos shared by military tech reporters, an experimental model has already been seen hovering across the skies, seemingly using onboard wind energy systems to ascend high into the air as crews on the ground monitor its deployment. Aside from unmanned airships, China is also developing crewed units that can carry up to 10 people at a time and remain airborne for up to 10 hours. Just a couple of months ago, Chinese sources shared videos of the nation's new AS-700 civil unit, which is said to have been cleared for mass production, conducting takeoffs and landings without issue. All of these developments mean that even if the US gains a powerful surveillance platform with HAPS, becoming the world leader in airship development won't be easy. And while, as of now, no nation has openly expressed its intent to turn these technologies against their rivals, America can't afford to let down its guard. Its ability to keep the skies above its allies safe and secure, and to prevent any enemy from deploying spies over its own mainland, may depend on it.